Good morning. Welcome to another episode on Mulligan PT channel. I am Brian Mulligan. You can also refer to me as Bry, the PT guy. So this morning I want to talk about something that affects, I think, everyone on planet Earth, and that is posture. Anybody aware of posture and how that affects you? Probably not too many, because otherwise we would be having so many problems. And neck pain, which is the real thing I want to focus on today's episode, is one of the major things that comes about because of bad posture. So anybody who is probably older than me would probably be hearing their parents or their grandparents tell them, sit up straight, sit up straight. Well, they were definitely onto something, and I wish we all listened to that and wish we all continued to tell the rest of our kids that for generations later, because now we have major, major problems. So neck pain affects 80% of the population in the world. 30% of those people will end up with more of a chronic neck condition. About 21% of people aren't even aware of a thing called text neck. I don't know if you've heard of that or not, or aware of that or not. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I'll talk about that in just a minute. So getting back to the head and the neck, if you think about a golf ball and a golf tee, that's pretty much what we got going on the top of our body here with our melon. So we have our head, which is pretty weighty, on top of a very skinny part of our body, which is our spine. And therefore it is very similar to the heavy golf ball on top of a very small platform, on top of a very skinny stick going into the ground, holding that up. So it's the same kind of idea. Now when you're playing golf, those of you who do play golf, you know that if you knock that ball off very easily, it counts as a stroke, unfortunately, but that's what happens sometimes because it's so unstable, unsteady. So the top of our head is really no different. We're dealing with gravity all the time, all day long. It's pushing down on us. It's a very, very strong force that we have to fight against all day long. So that's why posture is so important. So I wanted to go over briefly a little bit about the neck, some of the things going on with the neck, and then talk about a few stretches to help you out and send you on your way. So when it comes to the neck, we have what we call 7 cervical vertebrae here on Mr. Bones. So there's these guys up in here. These are 7 cervical vertebrae in here. Now, each one of them serves a different purpose. They all help to align the neck and have a lot of impact on the musculature that goes around the neck. So the back of our neck here, lots of different muscles that come off the back of the skull, come all the way down onto the shoulder blades, into the scapular area, top of the clavicle they call that. So all this area in here is where most of our neck muscles are affected. There's also some on the front that come across here that affect how our head and neck moves in those directions. So anytime there is a tightness on either side of the neck, it can affect how we are moving our neck and what kind of impact it might have on the musculature there. So with the neck, a lot of times what we'll see in bad posture is this kind of deal, okay? This is where we don't want to be, and this is where, unfortunately, most of us Americans are. So we want to try to get our spine back into alignment, and the best way to have the better alignment is to have your ear, your shoulder, and your hip all in one straight line. And that usually gives you a better postural position, which in turn is going to help with all of the alignment of the muscles and how they pull on the spine. So what are some conditions that affect neck pain? There's lots of different things that can affect neck pain. One of them is the discs. Okay, in between each vertebrae you have a disc, which its main purpose is for shock absorption. So it's protecting all the pressure in between each of the vertebrae as they come down and pound, and gravity's pushing on us all day long. So they can herniate, they can degenerate, meaning they're kind of squishing out and not giving you the same type of support that you normally should have. Then we have arthritis and arthritic conditions that can affect the spinal joints, just like any other joint in our body. So that can get irritating. They refer to that as DJD. DDD is degenerative disc disease. Other things that can affect our spine is spinal stenosis, which is a narrowing of the spinal canal. These are where the nerve endings come off and go into your upper extremities and upper body. They can get pinched and give you symptoms down the arm anywhere they choose to do it. And it can be pain, it can be numbness, it can be tingling, it can be all of the above. And then some of the other conditions that can affect our spine are scoliosis, another condition called spondylosis, spondylolisthesis. These are all different variations of how the vertebrae are aligned or shifted on top of each other, which can then cause jamming or pinching of the vertebrae as we're moving our neck. So a main purpose of our neck movements is every direction we go, but a lot of rotation occurs at our neck. So that's the biggest thing that most people will start to notice is if there is pain, the muscles get tight, and then they lose mobility. Mobility is the biggest thing that people lose, and they start to turn. They can't quite turn their head and neck, so now they're turning the whole body to get where they need to go because the neck won't quite move. That's a big thing they find. And I find in my practice, a lot of people, they just sleep on their neck in an awkward position. The muscles tense up so quickly in the neck, and then they have this stiff neck they wake up with. So what happens with these neck muscles is that what I tell most of my patients every time I treat a neck patient is we have two things already against us. So for whatever reason, God decided to have us rest all of our tension and stress into these neck muscles. And if you go and press on anybody's back of their neck, up in these pressure points, you'll probably find knots in almost every single person you push on. So we have just general life tension and stress that seems to settle there. Okay, that's one thing. The second thing I think that just adds to all that stress and tension is our posture. And when our posture is in the right alignment, the muscles are pulled forward. The weight of that heavy head in that golf ball analogy is going forward, and it's trying to maintain it and prevent it from just falling forward more. So those muscles are strained, they go into a lot of spasm, they're overworked. Now you got two nasty things that are causing a lot of muscle tension just up in the neck area. Then if you sleep on it, now you got a third thing that's now making it much, much worse. So other conditions are just going to add on to this. If you have arthritis, it's just going to compile onto this thing. So the way to attack this really, I think, is really going back to basics and working on posture. So that is the main thing to work on. So I'm going to flip this around so you can see me from the side. Okay, so bad posture is kind of where we are most of the time, is this kind of thing. Some of us are really severe or really down here. Most of us are here on our phones, our devices, and this is what they call text neck. So they've had a lot of studies out there that have provided information and research on text neck and how much of the weight of your body is going on to that. Some have showed up to 70% of your body weight is going forward onto that. As you're leaning forward on your devices. So that's something we really need to be aware of. So in order to fix our posture, what we really need to do is start from the lower back, which is arching up from there, pulling the shoulders back, and tucking the chin in. So to everybody I have do this, they feel it's very awkward, very odd, and not very comfortable because we're not used to being here. And that's why we all walk around with bad posture and bad neck pain, because we get lazy and we go into here, and that's much better for us. But in the end, it's not really much better for us. It causes a lot of problems. So just by coming up in a good posturing, we're getting all these muscles in better alignment versus being here and all the strain that gets caused into these upper neck and upper trap muscles. So working on posture is an exercise in itself. It's something I give my patients all the time. And I tell them that I don't expect them to sit and stand with proper posture all the time. I don't either, but I'm very aware of it. So the more aware of it you are, the more you're going to try to help correct it. The more you correct it, the more the muscles get stronger. And the more the muscles get stronger, they can provide more resistance and support and endurance to fight against gravity that keeps pushing down on us all day long. So going back to posture, all you can simply do is sit at your desk, sit in any chair that has good support. It's much easier to do this with support than without support. Without support, you have to work a little bit harder. The chair gives you a little bit of feedback. So when I start to straighten up into it or feel that it is there behind me, I know I can be in good posture. The car is a great place to do this. I tell people all the time, put your car seat straight up. I know, again, it feels very awkward and odd, but it helps. Put your car seat straight up, so by the time you're sitting up straight against your wheel, your head's against the headrest, now you have all this nice, wonderful feedback. Our bodies love feedback. So when you get feedback from those muscles, they're telling you, hey, I'm straight, everything looks good, I feel great. Now, if you recline the seat back all the way, and you're sitting here and holding here on the wheel, everything changes and everything's strained. That's why having the seat straight up is very, very helpful. So sitting at your desk, same thing happens. We go away with our computer, we start to fade, we start to hang in here, and all of a sudden we're in bad posture. So I tell people that are at a desk all day, stop every half hour if you have to, every hour if you have to. Set a timer if you have to. And just have that timer go off. Get your chair back up in front of your desk properly. Get your body back against the chair properly. And try to start maintaining your work again. You'll very, very quickly find that you're fading quickly into this position again. And that's why you want to keep repeating throughout the day to get back into a better posture. So a couple quick stretches. We have a couple of major muscle groups that really get affected by our neck pain, and I find them to be the very common ones that get affected. One is your upper trap muscle, and that is a very long muscle that goes across the back of the neck up in here. Underneath that and kind of weeded through that is called a levator scapula muscle. That muscle actually elevates our scapula. So it only serves to reason that when we have a lot of tension in our neck, what happens? Those shoulders come creeping back up. And that's because that muscle is so tight and tense, it has so much contraction in it, it doesn't know how to relax. So we need to get those to shut down. And the best way to shut them down, which I won't go into today, is to work on the lower scapular muscles across the lower part of your back, your lower traps, your lats, your rhomboids. These are all different muscles that work on our posture across our upper back and lower mid back. So those muscles, when they activate, they can help pull us back into better posture. And as they get stronger, then we can have more endurance to be able to sit and maintain better postures. So the two simple stretches I'm going to show you right now is one is called an upper trap stretch. So usually you want to anchor your hand on the side you're trying to stretch, either holding underneath your leg, under a chair. You can even just hold it down at your side as long as it's getting a good stretch there. And then what you're going to do is take your hand on the other side of your head, sitting up as straight as you can. That's the important part with this one. If we slump forward and do this, it's really not doing anything but causing more strain and stress. So sitting up nice and straight, keeping this arm relaxed as well, and not hiking up like this. You're just going to simply pull your head to the side, feel a nice good stretch along this side of your neck. Hold that for a good 5, 10, 15, 20, or 30 seconds. Okay, so again, most of the time I tell people start off slow, because for some people 5 seconds is plenty of time right now. As they get stretched out more, they can start to work up to 10 or 15 or 20. Okay, I usually have people do these for about 10 at a time, because it is the more repetition, the more stretch you get out of it. And for some people who are super tight, I tell them do this 2 or 3 times a day. There's really no harm in doing this multiple times a day if the neck muscle is really tight. And if this is an effective stretch, why not? Get it stretched out the more you can. Second one's very similar. The only difference is the angle you're pulling the head. So again, you can sit on your hand and anchor that down. You can put it under a chair, or you can simply just kind of hold it down at your side, stretch down, so you're getting a better stretch on it. So now you're taking your hand on the back of your head. Again, this arm you're keeping nice and relaxed. Don't start tightening up here. Turn your head to the opposite side and pull down towards the opposite leg. Again, you want to sit up nice and straight for this one. The more you slump forward, the less stretch you're going to get, the less effective it's going to be. As you do this one, you should feel a little bit more coming up in here versus off to the side on the first stretch. So this is the second stretch you would do. Same idea, hold for a 5, 10, 15, 20, or 30-second hold, depending on what you can tolerate and what you can build up to. Now, going back to just some other things real quickly, the other thing I have a lot of people do is just to work on just general mobility of their neck. So when it's super tight, just by me turning my head left and right to what position I can that's comfortable, you'll start to feel a stretch on each side. And that's a good way to maintain some mobility if you have just general stiffness and tightness. It's a little less aggressive than doing those last stretches, but it's also pretty effective to get the neck moving. The other directions it goes in is side to side this way. And again, you want to maintain a good position with your head going straight forward, not turning and going. Keep your nose and eyes in line in front of you, and just tip to the side, bring your ear to shoulder. Same thing there. You can do a 5, 10, or 15-second hold just doing that stretch without being over aggressive with the hands helping you out. And then the other directions that work well, I think most of the time, is more going down this way. This is a much more comfortable position for most people to go into. A nice good stretch across the upper back of the neck and the head. And of course the other direction is going up this way, which helps stretch out the front of the neck, but is generally not that comfortable a position. So even though we need our spine to move in both directions, it's not one I work on a lot, because again, it's just an uncomfortable position for most people to go into. But those are the main motions of the neck and everything in between, but those are the main 4 I focus on with most people. Side to side, turning left and right, and looking up and down. So just maintaining the mobility of the neck by moving those is very, very helpful. And again, going back to posture is the other thing we need to keep working on. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you like, share, and click all the buttons down below and let other people know about how easy it is to just get some simple neck stretches in. If this is too painful for you, then please stop, call your healthcare professional, call your physical therapist, or call us, and we'd love to help you out. So I hope you have a great day, take care, and good posture.